Now that we are under 48 hours away from the start of the NHL free agency, I wanted to make my final predictions on where I think a lot of the big name players are going to end up. I already did a video predicting where I think the bigger name free agents are going to go, but that was a couple weeks ago, and a lot of things have changed since then, and my opinion on a lot of those players have changed as well. So in today's video, these are my final 2019 NHL free agency predictions, and I'm not doing all the free agents because that would take forever. So if the free agent you guys want to hear about isn't in this video, just leave a comment, ask what my thoughts are, and I'll be sure to reply to it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Starting off the video with defenseman Tyler Myers, and as you guys can see, I have him staying with the Winnipeg Jets, especially after moving Jacob Trouba. I don't think they want to lose out on Tyler Myers as well, and just keep thinning out that blue line. They have a projected around $23 million in cap space heading into next season. The Kevin Hayes contract coming off the books helps a lot, and most of that 23 mil is probably going to go to Kyle Connor and Patrick Laine. I could see them both making around 8 to maybe 8.5, maybe even 9 mil, and then I think they do have enough of the remainder to sign Tyler Myers and bring him back. I think Tyler Myers at the age of 29 in his prime probably wants to compete, and I think the Winnipeg Jets are in a prime position to contend for a Stanley Cup right now. Myers is a 29-year-old defenseman. His last cap hit was $5.5 million, has played in 635 career games, 74 goals, and 191 assists for 265 points. And then this past season, 80 games played, 9 goals, and 22 assists for 31 points. I think he's a very solid two-way defender. He's a really reliable guy to have in your top four, and I think Winnipeg definitely wants to bring him back. I know there was a lot of rumors surrounding Tyler Myers to Vancouver, but I don't really think that is going to happen, and I can't really see other teams being too interested in Tyler Myers, especially since he's probably going to want around $6 and $6.5 million. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think maybe Winnipeg has to shed a little bit more cap if they want to bring all those guys back, including Tyler Myers, but that is my prediction. I think Tyler Myers will remain with the Winnipeg Jets. Next up, I have Gustav Nyquist signing with the Edmonton Oilers, and this is one that I kind of just took a shot in the dark at. There wasn't really any rumors tying these two together, but Edmonton really needs help on the wing, and I think Gustav Nyquist would be a perfect fit. Edmonton has about 8.3 mil in projected cap space for next season, and really their only important players that need new contracts. Jesse Puljujarvi is an RFA if you want to call him an important player for them, and Alex Chiasson, who had like a 17-goal season, is an unrestricted free agent, and I don't really know what they want to do with him, but both of those guys aren't going to cost too much, and I think with the 8.3 that they have, Gustav Nyquist is definitely affordable. I think probably around 5.5 to 6 mil is what we see Nyquist sign for, and especially if Edmonton can somehow get rid of that Milan Lucic contract, then it would make this all that much more, possible and realistic, and I think Nyquist would be a perfect fit to play alongside Connor McDavid. He's played in 500 career games, has 131 goals, 175 assists for 306 points, and this year, coming off a career year in his contract season, that is always what we see players do for the majority of the time. 81 games played, 22 goals, and 38 assists for 60 points, and I think him playing a full season on a line with Connor McDavid, he could easily be a 30-goal scorer and, be a guy who can give you 70 points. So I think this would be an amazing fit. Ken Holland is the new GM of the Oilers. He knows Nyquist very well from their time together in Detroit, so I honestly think this is very possible. It's what I want to happen with Nyquist, one of my favorite players in the league. I think it would be a perfect fit, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with Nyquist, how much money he demands, and if there is a potential fit with him in Edmonton in the future. Next up, I have defenseman Jake Gardner signing with the Montreal Canadiens. Now, reports have came out that the Montreal Canadiens are interested in a left-handed top four defenseman and a backup goaltender, and I think Jake Gardner fits the left-handed top four defenseman mold perfectly. He's a 28-year-old defenseman. His last cap hit was $4.05 million per season, 551 career games played for him, 45 goals, and 200 assists for 245 points. This past season struggled with injury, but when he was on the ice, he was still putting up points like usual. 62 games played, 3 goals, and 27 assists for 30 points. And Jake Gardner got a lot of criticism for how he played in Toronto, especially in those game 7s against the Boston Bruins, and I think it is time that Jake Gardner just moves on. I think his time in Toronto has came to an end, and I do think, even though Montreal is a rival of the Toronto Maple Leafs, that it would be a really good fit for him. That would give you 3 of your top 4 defensemen of Jeff Petrie, Jake Gardner, and Shea Weber. I think that would be very solid, and in my opinion, push them one step closer to becoming a playoff team once again. I think it would take them out of contention for Matt Duchene, obviously, because Jake Gardner is probably going to cost around 5 to 6 mil, but nonetheless, I don't think Matt Duchene was going there anyway. That kind of spoils a little bit later in the video, but nonetheless, I think Jake Gardner, it is a real possibility that we do see him sign with the Montreal Canadiens on July 1st. Next player we're going to talk about is Anders Lee, and I have him re-signing with the New York Islanders. I think he wants to be in New York, and it would be a shame if the New York Islanders had their captain leave them in free agency in back-to-back years, and I just think, I see him as a New York Islander. I don't really see him in any other uniform. He's a 28-year-old left winger. His last cap hit was $3.75 million. He's in for a pretty significant raise. He's played in 425 career games, has 152 goals, and 106 assists for 258 points. Just 2 seasons ago, he was a 40-goal scorer. Yes, his goal total did drop off, and his point total did drop off a little bit in this past season, but he was still a very well-rounded player, a great leader for them. He played in 82 games last year, 28 goals, and 23 assists for 51 points. And I think it really is important for this New York Islanders team to re-sign Robin Lehner, who isn't in this video, but if you want to hear my thoughts on him, just drop a comment like I said at the start, and to bring back Anders Lee. I think those two are very important for the team, and if they want to stay afloat as a playoff team in the Metro, I think it really is important for them to bring both of those guys back, and I think that is going to be Lou Lamoriello's main focus this offseason. They already brought back Eberle, and I definitely think we will see Anders Lee sign a new contract with the New York Islanders sooner rather than later, but you never know, anything can happen, but my final prediction is Anders Lee stays with the New York Islanders. Next up, we have Joe Pavelski, and I have him signing, as you can see, with the Dallas Stars. Now, Joe Pavelski, in my opinion, at the start of free agency, I thought 100% he was going to return to San Jose, finish his career as a Shark. He's the captain of that team, but reports have came out that it seems like his time in San Jose is done, and it's kind of been narrowed down to a 2 to 3 team race for Joe Pavelski's services between the Dallas Stars, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Chicago has their name kind of in there as well, but more so between Tampa and Dallas, and between those two, I think Joe Pavelski is going to get a lot more opportunity to succeed in Dallas in terms of his role. Obviously, team success, I'm pretty sure he would lean towards Tampa Bay, but I think he'll get more money in Dallas. He'll get to play a more significant role on the team, and I just think it would be a really good fit. He's a 34-year-old centerman. He can play the wing though as well. His last cap hit was $6 million. He's played in 963 career games. He's going to hit 1,000 this year. 355 goals, 406 assists for 761 points. This past season, still amazing production from him, even though he is 34. 75 games played, 38 goals, and 26 assists for 64 points. In terms of what I think a contract could look like for Joe Pavelski, I think it won't be any more than a 2 to 3 year deal. I don't really see a team signing him to a 4-year deal, up there around 6 or 7 mil. That would see him getting that much till he's 38. I think that would be a little bit risky, but I think if Dallas can get him on a 2 to 3 year deal at around 6.5 to 7 mil, that they would be happy with that because he still can be a consistent 30-goal scorer. It would give them really good depth scoring behind, the line of Sagan, Radulov, and Ben to go along with guys like Rope, Hintz, and I just think it would be a really, really good fit, and in my opinion, that is what is going to happen. My prediction for Pavelski is that he signs with the Dallas Stars. Next up, we have Matt Duchene, and I have him signing with the Nashville Predators, and for Duchene, it seems like it has kind of came down to a 2-team race as well, between Nashville and the Montreal Canadiens, and obviously I have him signing with Nashville. He's a huge country music fan, and I think what better team to play for if you're a fan of country music than Nashville, and I know a lot of people are like, yeah, that's kind of a stupid reason to have him sign in there, but honestly, I think that could play a pretty huge factor. He's a 28-year-old centerman. His last cap hit was $6 million. He's played in 727 career games. He has 232 goals, 315 assists for 547 points. This past season, he played amazing in every game that he played. 73 games played, 31 goals, and 39 assists for 70 points, and I think if Nashville can get him, that would really move the needle a little bit in terms of making them a legit Stanley Cup contender, because if you have a center core, led by Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson, then wings like Victor Arvidsson and Philip Forsberg, I think you have the makings of a really solid team, and they still have Mikael Granlund. I just really like the look of them. Obviously, they still have that amazing D-core and solid goaltending with UC Saros and Pekka Rinne, and I just think this would be an amazing fit for Matt Duchene. I think we could honestly see him maybe get overpaid just a little bit. I think he's probably going to make around 8 to 8.5, maybe even 9 mil, but if he can play like he did this year for a consistent basis over that contract, then I don't really see it as an overpayment. So my prediction for Matt Duchene is he signs with the Nashville Predators on July 1st. Next up, talking about Sergei Bobrovsky, I'm in agreement with a lot of other people when I have him signing with the Florida Panthers. I just think it makes the most sense. Luongo just retired. They want to buy out or trade James Reimer, and really have an all-new goaltending tandem, probably with Bobrovsky as the starter and then Samuel Montembois as the backup, and I think that would be a really solid 1-2 punch. Sergei Bobrovsky is, you could argue, one of, if not the best goaltenders in the entire NHL, And if you add him to a team that literally the problem has been goaltending, over the past 2 years, they have an amazing forward core. They have, the makings of a really solid backhand as well. This could be a really dangerous team in the Atlantic Division if Pavelski does decide to go there. He's a 30-year-old goaltender. His last cap hit was $7.425 million. That will probably go back up there around 9 to 10 mil, honestly. His career stats: 255 wins, 153 losses, 37 ties or OT losses, a .919 save percentage, and a 2.46 goals against. This past season, 37-24-1 with a .913 save percentage and a 2.58 goals against. Obviously, everyone knew Florida's, focus and goals heading into free agency was signing both Bobrovsky and Panarin, but I think everyone knows that isn't, that realistic, and I think Panarin is probably headed elsewhere. I mean, if they could get both, that would be unbelievable, but I think, more realistically, they're probably going to get one, and in my opinion, that is Sergei Bobrovsky, and I think if they could choose out of the two, if they could only get one, which one it would be, I think it would be Bobrovsky, just because of the goaltending problems that they have had recently. And if Bobrovsky signs with Florida, this is going to be a super fun team to watch, and in the end, that is my prediction. I think Sergei Bobrovsky will be a Florida Panther after free agency. Now, finishing off the video with probably the most talked about free agent, well, unrestricted free agent this offseason, and that is Artemi Panarin. And as you guys can see, I have him signing with the New York Rangers. He's a 27-year-old winger, and reports have came out that New York is offering like $11.2 million, and I can't see any other team topping that, and I really can't see Artemi Panarin turning that down, especially to go play for an up-and-coming team in a big market. I just think it really is an amazing fit. His last cap hit was $6 million. He's put in 322 career games, has 116 goals, 204 assists for 320 points, and this past season, 79 games played with the Jackets, 28 goals, and 59 assists for 87 points. And honestly, if they get Artemi Panarin, this could be one of the final pieces of this rebuild. You already have Kaapo Kakko coming in. You have guys like Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Pavel Buchnevich, a blue line of a newly acquired Jacob Trouba, Brady Shea. I just really like this team, and obviously in goal you have Henrik Lundqvist, but then you have Georgiev as well, and I believe it's just Yorkin is the goaltender that they have over in Russia, kind of stashed away, probably ready to come over and, take either the starting or backup role when Henrik Lundqvist does decide to hang up the skates. But nonetheless, I just really love the position that the New York Rangers are in, and I think they're in the best position to sign Panarin, and ultimately that is my prediction. I think Artemi Panarin is going to go to the New York Rangers. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section what your predictions are for all these players in free agency, and like I said at the start, if I didn't talk about an unrestricted free agent that you want to hear my thoughts on, just leave a comment and I'll be sure to try to reply to all of them. So with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.